And now, it's time for the College of Ice with Brian Brosdahl and Steve Panaz.
Hey everybody, welcome to College of Ice. It's the 9th episode already. I can't believe it. And we're having a heck of a lot of fun. Tom Bolt, I think you're the first one to mention, come on and comment. Tony, you guys are awesome. Looking forward to it. We got a great show tonight. We got some really awesome guests tonight. One, I'm really proud to have Cuz Strickland with Mossy Oak. We're going to have him on at about 7:30, 7:35. And we're going to have some fun. We're going to talk a lot of unique stuff today. We're going to talk crappie. We're going to talk sturgeon. And we're just going to have a lot of fun. Hey, let's bring Bro in.
How you guys doing?
Bro, good to see you, man. I know you got on the ice again today. How was it?
Actually, it was slower today. The ice, it's making a little bit of ice each time, but it's been slower fishing. There was not a stitch of wind, and it was gorgeous outside, but nothing biting really.
So I got up at 4:30 this morning. I drove 190 miles north. I got on the lake for about 4 hours, and I hightailed it back here. And we had a tough bite. Jonathan, thanks for joining us. Bro, I want to talk to you about something that I ran into again today. The temperatures went from the 20s into almost the 50s. And I found over the years, anytime you get these big weather shifts where it warms up, it's such an awesome time to be on the ice or on the water. But early in the spring, late in the fall, and I think it happened again today, I think it's a reverse cold front. I think it just gets so warm and so quickly. I think the fish actually shut down. And today, I had a tough bite. How about you?
Yeah, it was tough. The walleyes would come up. They'd look at the bait and then go back down, and they'd swim by. And they're agitated. They come through. The same fish would come through 4 times on the AquaView. But the perch always bite. They're reliable.
Yeah, the perch
biting today. It was terrible.
I had a couple pike come in on the screen today, and it was just like whoosh, miss the bait, come back, turn around, grab the bait. It was awesome.
Crazy.
Yeah. Hey, we need to congratulate Mike Kutka from winning the prize pack from Frabill last week. And how do people win tonight?
All you got to do is like and share the show, or drop us a question and just comment on the show, and you're in to win if you're from the U.S.
Yeah, we had a little bit of a challenge last week, guys. We found out that Canadian law is a little bit challenging in terms of giving away prizes, so we have to limit this to the U.S. only. Our apologies, but we're still hoping everybody can be active and stay involved. Hey, we've got changing ice conditions, so please continue to share your location and ice conditions around home. So as we start getting fishable ice, we can start getting out there and having some fun. So, hey, bro, I know you're a big fan of deep water crappie. Take me through your approach to finding and catching these deep water fish.
Well, when I find them, most of the time they're in the basin around here, and the thing is they're in the muddy basin eating zooplankton, and they're eating bloodworms. And the real trick is looking for the deepest spot. And once you find them, with electronics is easy. Then I like to use an AquaView, but deep crappies, I like to stop just above them. If you hook a fish and pull them through the school, you'll blow up the school, and then you got to go chase them down again. So it's just easier just to drop it down and watch them come up the rise and then catch them.
That's a great point. In fact, as you pictured this, you'll see a bunch of fish on the screen, and slow the bait down so it doesn't crash into the school. Let it kind of flutter the last few feet. In fact, stop it. A lot of times you'll see 2 or 3 fish break out of the school and come up. Hey, bro, I want to show you a video of a school of fish from a lake that's near and dear to my heart. These aren't giant fish, but I want to give you kind of an indication of what you can find when you find these basin fish. So check this out. Kai, let's run the crappie video. Look at this.
All right.
I mean, you know what's impressive with this? This is in 50 feet of water with an AquaView.
Oh, look at that. And you could see them perfectly. That's the neat thing about AquaView. You can use it even in brackish water. If you can see the silhouettes in the fish, how helpful was that? You didn't have to look at your rod tip. You just set the hook when you ate it.
Yeah, it's just fun to watch. So I'm a big fan of spoons for deep water crappie more and more. I know you are as well. And there's something about having, and when I'm talking spoons, I'm talking these little 16th ounce type of thing in different colors. Yeah, you're about the same size I am. But what I really like about them is the treble hook. Your hookup ratios are much better than I think the single hooks and that sort of thing. And this is also a great place to run fluorocarbon line or braid because you get better hook sets and more sensitivity in that deep water. Yep. Hey, bro, you've talked time and time again about straight line reels. And take us through again why you like straight line reels and especially when we talk about line twist.
Well, with straight line reels, you don't have to worry about the line getting spun on. It actually goes on the way it comes off. And I like to use, in deep water, though, I like to use the multiplier, which is the 371, because it reels in 22 inches of line in one turn. So you can get your bait back up, you could drop it, you could spool it down, and it'll spool an 84th ounce jig. Nice. It's just great, but don't over test the line. Go with light line. I use 1-2 pound sunline and go really light, just real thin and clear. Definitely clear. If you're above here and you want to see some line, orange or bright line, that's fine. But in clear waters and spooky situations, we want to make sure you're using clear line and thin. They got nowhere to go.
Hi, Lauren. How are you? Hey, so talk a little bit about line spin. Why is that a bad deal?
Well, when it starts spinning and unraveling, fish can't grab it because they're keying in. They move really slow and they just can't grab it.
So watch this video real quick. There's strike 1, strike 2, strike 3, strike 4, 5. I mean, that fish wanted to eat. And we have talked about trying to make your presentations, make it easy for the fish to feed. Here's a prime example of a fish that was super aggressive and wanted to feed, but we made it impossible for him. So a lot of times you want to build a little thing into your presentation that allow them to eat a little bit easier. And we talk about line spin. Trophy bluegills, they won't wait for that bite. I mean, they probably won't even try to bite something that's spinning like that. So it's pretty amazing. So
yep. And they got dizzy too at the same times.
They what?
They get dizzy if they're staring at them.
Yeah.
Natural.
Yeah. Hey, I don't know. Did we show the prize pack that we're giving away tonight? Did we show that graphic?
Yeah, we did.
We did. All right. I want to make sure because we haven't talked about the mug tonight.
No.
And the new College of Ice mug right here. It's from Mammoth Coolers, and it's a chance to keep your cold drinks cold and your hot drinks hot. So the question that we have tonight, bro, is what's in your mug?
There's a crappie in every mug. In lake water and lake ice.
That's hilarious. I think it's fun. Hey, we're going to bring in one of our first guests is Eric Brandreit. He's a Frabill pro, longtime pro. He's been on College of Ice already. Good friend. I've been on the water with him and on the ice, and I know you have as well. He's owner of Dakota Prairie Guiding. He's got decades of experience on Oahe and a lot of the glacial lakes in South Dakota. He specializes in perch and walleyes. And Eric, welcome to College of Ice. Good to see you, man.
How you doing?
Hey, good to see you guys.
Good to see you. Good to see you. I look at all those elk in his background. I don't have one in my house. Do you there, bro?
Got any extra elk burger?
I do.
Oh, good. I might be driving down there.
That's awesome. Hey, Eric, we're hearing about a lot of really, really big walleyes coming out of Oahe the last year, maybe two, 13, 14. I think even a 15 came out of here. The state record in South Dakota is 16.2. What are the odds somebody's going to break the state record this winter, maybe next winter?
To be honest with you, I think it's a matter of time. We've talked a lot about it here this last year or two. And, and that if you ask my buddies, you ask my family, they'll all tell you that Lake Oahe is my favorite, and not just because of that, but just because of its vastness and the angling opportunities. But that the body of water is coming around now again. And a 12, 13, 14 in the fall right now is not uncommon. I mean, we're seeing them, and it's a matter of time. I think one of these next winters, if not this one, it's coming.
Well, especially late year when these things are pre-spawned, swollen with eggs, and to take a 14 and make it a 16 is not that big of a stretch, especially that time of year. So, how do you target Oahe walleyes in the winter?
Wahi in general is definitely different than a lot of the glacial lakes. Our glacial lakes, some of them are really void of structure, to be honest, big open bowls, but Oahe is full of structure. And when I go out there, I do spend a lot of time in January, and then I do like to get out there in March, if I can time it just right before the ice goes off. I love flats. I love points that really drop off into deep water real quick. Ones that really get out there as far as you can into that basin. But really, Oahe is a body of water. Those big fish can show up anywhere. And that's what makes it so much fun. I think fishing close to the major spawning creeks are going to probably give you the best chances. The Grand River, the Morrow River, the Cheyenne River. But right now, most of those bigger fish are really coming in the northern portion of that body of water, Mobridge down to the Morrow River.
And targeting in terms of baits, are you using big baits, or how are you approaching these fish?
It's everybody likes it if they hit a big spoon, and I'm a big spoon guy. I love, Northland Tackle buckshot spoons and fishing aggressive. Those fish in late winter are there to eat. And that's, fishing aggressive, covering ground, trying to put yourself in the highest percentage spots where those fish may be is going to be best.
So Oahe was really famous years back for producing some giant pike, especially early season, fishing dead baits in the back of some of the bays. Is that a viable winter fishery as well in terms of targeting, gator sized fish? And bro, you have a gator, don't you?
Yeah, I do actually. And
I want to see this gator. Check this out, Eric. That was a gift of one of the guide friends. But
yeah, the story behind that is I took some guys from Louisiana on the ice and they got walleyes, they got pike, and when they got on the plane, it was 88 degrees in Louisiana. When they got off the plane, it was minus 30 in Minnesota. They called me and said, we don't know if we made a big mistake here. But they came up. I said, I promise you, you're going to have fun. You're going to be warm. They went from a warm truck to a warm fish house that I set up. And I asked him, I said, are you cold? And he said, just my nose. All that was sticking out of his hood was his nose. And they were hooting and hollering and screaming, had a great time. And then they go, we're going to take care of you. And all of a sudden, this showed up. The alligator head. I thought it was a cool gift. I don't get this very often.
Oh, so let's go back to northern gators. So Eric, is that pike fishery still pretty solid on Oahe?
You know what? There's good numbers of them. And there again, they show up just about anywhere all winter. You've got a chance of catching one, but you're exactly right. That late winter back in bays, especially late ice, where that water starts to warm up in those back bays, you get a little running water coming in when the snow starts to melt. And and then at that time using big baits, big pieces of, schmelt, that type of thing. And, from there until when the ice pulls away from shore, actually fishing them from shore is a really big time to really get them, when the ice pulls away. But that late ice, absolutely. And there's some giants out there. The state record was actually caught real close to our house out there. And I want to say it's like 36 pounds or something.
Oh, wow.
I saw a video. Yeah, it's a giant. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow. So
that's got smelt in there. That's one key element. Have the smelt come back? They died off for a while there. Are they back now?
You know what? From what I hear this past spring, there was a decent run, and the body of water's kind of flipped over a little bit. I think there's more smelt in the lower half of Oahe now. And up north, we're catching herring, lake herring. we're catching them through the ice. I mean, I had a herring last year that was 20 inches long. So some of those herring have actually outgrown what they were supposed to.
Wow.
But yeah, a lot of lake herring. There's just it's full of food right now, which is exciting. You know, the fish are growing, and I think that's obviously why we've got these big walleyes going now. You know, and back a few years ago, 5, 8 years ago, 12, 13 was unheard of. Now it's almost expected, you know, in the fall and winter. It's there's definitely some buzz out there.
That's amazing. So do you guys I know you fish a lot of the glacial lakes as well in eastern South Dakota. Are you finding fishable ice yet anywhere?
You know what? I see I've got a few buddies over west, you know, 2-3 inches. Some guys are fishing some very small sloughs and ponds, but the major big lakes, no. We had 50-degree weather today. We're gonna have it tomorrow. We haven't had a lot of wind, so the skim that we've got is staying here. But I'm gonna guess it sounds like next week down into 20s for highs, teens at night. We're gonna be making ice next week, and I think that will probably be the big turn for us.
I think that's the same thing with us, bro, for upper Minnesota. I think it's the same sort of thing. I'm not sure. I haven't looked at any of the forecasts for Michigan or New York or that area, but that's promising for getting some good some good ice.
It dumps down Saturday, teens and single digits next week at night, which is a big thing, and only 20s during the day, teens and 20s. So we're gonna get it.
That's nice. Wow, 42-pound pike. That's incredible.
Oh, Michael, wow.
Wow. Hey, so Eric, if someone has not fished eastern South Dakota, what are 3-4 good bodies of water that you would recommend for whatever species you want to cover? Walleye, perch, crappie, bluegill, whatever.
You know what? It's tough to pinpoint different bodies of water. I think I was telling you guys last week when we just visited outside the show, you and I could pick a different body of water for 2 months and probably catch fish every day. I mean, we live in a very unique area. But, you know, some of the bigger bodies of water seem to be probably the more popular ones, and they have good fishing. You know, if you get around that Watertown area, you've got Ponset, you've got Thompson, but then in between those lakes, you've got a variety of different lakes. You know, in our lakes over here, perch and walleyes are the most common, you know, that everybody's after. The winter perch bite is kind of the bread and butter. That's what everybody wants. But we have, you know, and then once you get up to the northern part of the northeastern South Dakota, you know, the Bitter, the Wabays, Enemy Swim, Big Stone Lake. You got it almost seems like it's endless. Let's go pick a lake. And, you know, and speaking of big walleyes like a wahi, you know, wahi is really an untapped thing for the winter, but you can catch 30-inch walleyes in all these lakes. I mean, I've caught more 30-inch walleyes on these little bodies of water than I have a wahi, even for as much time as I spend on a wahi. So, I mean, the fishing's good. It's endless. Fishing pressure has a lot to do with, you know, which body of water is going good and how long it's going to last.
Okay.
But, yeah.
But the ice, you got to be really careful out there, don't you? On a wahi, a lot of current.
Yes. First of all, you got to respect that body of water. Have I driven my side-by-side, my Ranger over 120 feet of water? Yes. You want to see my dad get really excited? He'll grab both handles and yeah. But yes, you got to respect any body of water, but especially that when there's current 100 feet of water. That body of water can change and the ice can change real quick. But yes, diligence, most definitely.
So Eric, you guide summer and winter. Is that correct?
Yes, not so much on a wahi in the wintertime, just because I live back in eastern South Dakota.
Yeah.
But yes, summertime out there, and then mostly the glacial lakes, South and Big Stone here in the wintertime.
So if someone wants to book a trip with you, how do they get a hold of you?
Social media, Facebook is probably the best. I do have a website, dakotaproangling.com. Get a hold of me, call me. If I can fit you in, great. If not, I'll be honest with you, I'm going to send you in the right direction too. But winter's filling up. We had a great summer, you know, and there again, if you're going to come to South Dakota, try to find out where these fall bites were. We had a great fall bite on a variety of lakes. That's a great place to start. But the way the winter's setting up, it's going to be a good winter here.
Hey, we had one question before we go. How many lines can you legally use in the winter in South Dakota?
Man, I tell you what, last week listened to Mr. Thomas, seven, holy smokes.
Can you imagine?
Yeah, I would be tired. We can use 4 here. 4 in the winter.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
That's
And
only twice
two,
as many as us.
yeah,
Wow.
and two in the yes.
That's amazing. Eric, hey, thanks so much. I hope you guys have a very Merry Christmas.
Good to see
And
you, man.
I need to get out and fish with you one of these days. So thanks so much for coming on.
Absolutely. Same to you guys. You guys are more than welcome anytime. Merry Christmas, and hope things go well for you guys.
That's awesome. We'll see you later.
All right. Thank you, guys.
Yeah. Bro, what a fun guy. I had a chance to do a Lake Commandos with him, and we were fishing one of the prairie lakes out there, and he was vertical jigging in the grass a drop shot rig with a Berkeley the General on it, and we were catching these 5-pound smallmouth under the boat in grass. It was just incredible.
That sounds like a blast.
So our next guest just were up with you fishing not that long ago.
Oh, there we go. Grant and Hunter.
Yeah.
They here.
Hey,
Hey guys.
hey guys, good to see you.
Good.
So let me ask you a question. Did you enjoy redfish fishing with Chris Russell more or the ice fishing with Bro?
Steve, don't do that to us.
Yeah.
Since Bro's here, definitely fishing with Bro.
Well, Chris is here too, so you got in trouble now.
No, it was good both places.
Grant
We
is
caught
a drilling machine. He's a drilling machine. As a matter of fact, did you ever stop drilling? Drill all day.
No,
Yeah.
You know
I
what
like
that's
to
called?
test out the batteries to see what they can get.
yeah, the capacity of them. Yeah,
You're up to 90 holes and the battery was still going. You just never drilled it out.
yeah. With the 6-inch bit, we got it was between 500 and 600 inches of ice on just one 4-amp-hour battery. That was ridiculous.
Wow,
Yeah.
that's amazing. That's a
So-
Razor 40 volt.
Yeah, the Razor 40 volt. So everybody in the open of the show for College of Ice, the two dudes chasing the tip up at the end of the opening video are these two guys, which is kind of fun. Hey, you guys live next to one of the most unique fisheries in the country, especially for ice fishing. Talk a little bit about sturgeon fishing on the St. Croix River. How do you target these fish? What are you using for bait? What are you using for gear? How big of holes you drilling? Kind of take us through the whole thing.
Yeah, it hasn't been a known thing forever. It just kind of started within the last 5 years, I would say, and pretty much the St. Croix River. In Bayport, basically Stillwater to Bayport, it widens out really good and it freezes really good. Like most lakes around that area won't even have walkable ice, but the river somehow does. I don't know if it's because it's comes from up north and it cools the water down so much. But it freezes really well, and it's generally pretty safe out there. It's still a river. You got to respect it.
And there's a power plant. I mean, you got a hot water discharge there as well that you got to be careful of. Yeah.
Yeah, but the problem is that's where the best fishing is because the sturgeon congregate there. And so you use bigger rods, and what we use for bait is I like night crawlers. Those usually work the best, but
And
then you use fat heads too. And different dead baits and usually work pretty good, but heavy rods with 15 to up to 65-pound braided line, and it's the craziest fishing that I've ever
And
fished.
well, basing your line all depends on your rod. It's actually fishing for sturgeon through the ice has only been legal for I think around 5 years. And there's a lot of areas where you can't do it, like the Winnebago system. If whoever goes out and does it, make sure it's legal where you do it. There's a lot of places you can't do it. But the rod we have here is just the heavy action. 15 to 20 pound is what we mainly use, and we've been able to get in fish upwards of 60 inches, no problem using.
You've landed fish to 60 inches on that rod right there and 30-pound test or 15-pound test?
Yeah, 15 pound. And since you're fishing in vertical, the fish only have so many places to go, and you have a lot more control over them being over top of them.
What kind of hole are you drilling for these things?
Well, we like to use a 10-inch just because in case somebody brings a snowmobile or a four-wheeler out there, they're not going to either step in it or drive in it. Because people make the Mickey Mouse holes, they're called. They'll do the 3/8, or 3.6s.
3.10s too.
Yeah.
And that's a little dangerous, especially at night.
Basically, pretty much any sturgeon, even in the 60, 70 plus range, will fit through a 10-inch hole.
Other than that, there was almost an 80-incher caught on the catch and release state record. They had to drill 5 holes to get that one up.
I watched the video on that. That was pretty amazing.
Wow.
Have you guys ever hooked a fish that you couldn't control?
We've had a buddy who has, but usually the 50 to 60 inchers, you get them in a decent amount, faster than what you think, because you're fishing for them.
That's all 50 or 60. That's all right.
Well, and see, in the numbers with them, it kind of varies on the time of the year. I mean, the first year that you could legally fish for them, we caught 58 fish in 2 nights. There wasn't any over like 42, 43 inches. But then as it's gotten more and more popular, it takes more technique, because right by the discharge, it's weird. So the power plant has to be on for the shad to stay alive, because they need that warm water. And when they're alive, it's a lot easier to catch them. But when they die, we've dropped the cameras down. There's a bunch of shad everywhere. And the chance of them going for your bait versus all the shad,
It's pretty weak.
It kind of lowers your chances. So there's you have to watch that when you want to go out.
We got a question. Do you guys have a YouTube channel?
Yep. Rip Some Lips HG is where we upload some of our fishing adventures.
And we have a couple sturgeon older shows on there, so go check those out.
Well, are you guys using, is it a braid line? Is that what you're using? And number 2, are you using circle hooks or J hooks?
Just the regular J hook. Anywhere from, I like a size either 2 all the way up to a 1. 1 is nice because you can put about 3 to 4 night crawlers on there. And the main technique, it's kind of different, but it's unique. So it's like the summertime. You got your standard rig here, but what makes this?
We can't see it. So you got a sinker? Okay. Okay. So you're using a float.
Okay.
Nope, this is just a bead.
No, you got a bobber on the top.
We got a float here, so we got about 1.5 feet a leader, and then you got your sinker, which keeps it on the bottom, because there is a little current down there. And what you do is at the top of your hole, you don't hold the weight up. It's not like you're suspending for crappie or like a walleye. Mm-hmm. It's basically you put your weight on the bottom, and it's just enough where the bobber can sit up straight, and that will determine the bait, and it makes it super easy. Because when we first went out there, we missed a bunch because we didn't figure this out yet. We were just basically laying our rods taut on the bottom of the ice and waiting for the rod tip to go. But sometimes they bite so finicky you can't figure it out. So this bobber technique works really good. Some guys use, like, they'll take a 1 ounce buckshot, then they'll put one of these big hooks on there and do kind of the same thing. But I like this because they don't feel the weight, but it doesn't seem to affect them much. But it's more of a confidence thing more than anything. And the current is on the St. Croix. It varies depending on how close you are to the discharge or where you are in the river. But your line will continue to go out when you drop it down. So you have to try to keep it as vertical as possible until that weight's on the bottom. So then you have your bobber set the way it needs to be. Okay. And how heavy a weight are you using? Anywhere from like a quarter to half ounce. It depends. Sometimes we'll get like a melt. Like say now, if we had a good amount of ice and we'll get a melt, the river will kind of pick up in current. But most times it's pretty low. So a quarter ounce. Kai, why don't you show us a photo of one of their fish from recently? I know you guys sent us a photo in. So how big was this fish? I think that's a 45 if I remember. Oh. Yeah, I think that was. So yeah, they're crazy good fighters. And I mean, I haven't hooked any super giants like some of the stuff that some guys are the 78. I mean, that'd be cool to catch. I couldn't even imagine. Especially with 38-inch rod, because that fish has technically, I think, been caught 2 or 3 times based on pictures that people have uploaded holding that 78-inch fish. But
that's just a fish of a lifetime right there. If you could get one that big.
That's amazing.
Sounds great.
So I guess I wanted to ask, who's the better fisherman between the two of you?
I think Grant's caught more sturgeon than me.
I'm the tech side of everything. Hunter's the fisherman when it comes to
That's
when
awesome.
it comes to catching fish. Yep.
And they're
You gotta
actually
watch it. These guys are full body checks as they're running to the tip of. I saw Hunter. Yeah, Grant went up in the air and landed on his back and just shook it off and jumped back up and run. I would have been evacuated by helicopter if that happened.
I know we gotta get to the next guest, but my tip up kept going up, and Hunter, he gets me all fired up, and he's like, "Oh, I'm gonna go get it," because we were trying to catch walleyes, and they ended up being like 22-inch pike, but I kept getting all fired up, and he launched me.
That was a good one.
The thin layer of snow, and then the spot where I just slid across the ice.
So bro's not lying. He actually told me after your trip that he did think he would have ended up in the ER after seeing what happened.
Cracked a rib watching it.
That's hilarious. Well, guys, hey, good luck this winter, and send us some pictures if you get any giants. I want to see them, and good to see you. Thanks for coming on College Advice tonight.
Yep, we'll see you guys. Thanks for having us.
Thank you guys.
Right. See you guys.
See ya.
Bro, doesn't that sound like a lot of fun?
Oh, that'd be great. I love catching sturgeon. Heather and I always make the trek to Rainy River, and we catch them in the spring. Sometimes in the summer, they go wild in the summer. And in the fall, I end up working so much. But sturgeon are fun. And St. Croix River has some monsters.
You know, I tried to target them this summer on the Rainy River, and we went through some of the deep holes. We caught a lot of fish, but no giants. And then we go out in the lake, and I'm fishing walleyes, and I hooked a giant on 8-pound test, and it was about a 45-minute fight. The problem is I took the sturgeon net. I had the big Frabill giant sturgeon net. I had it in the boat, and I took it out at the ramp because I didn't want to bother with it. And then about 2 hours later, I was wishing I had that thing back in the boat because we ended up having to hand land the thing. It was pretty amazing.
There's one Heather caught.
That's insane.
That's in my baby Ranger. We got a little 16.5-foot Ranger. And I swear we couldn't hardly move around with that thing in there.
Wow. Hey, our next guest is a legend in the outdoors, Ronnie Strickland. He's been with Mossy Oak since 1988. He's better known and more affectionately known as Cuz. He's been running their TV. This guy has produced, bro, believe it or not, over 1,600 episodes of outdoor television over the years. And hey, Cuz, can you join us tonight at College of Ice?
Hey, I'm good. I apologize for dropping out on you guys last week, but I told you I don't get Wi-Fi where I live. I barely get sunshine out there.
Oh, man. Hey, you remember those days when you'd air on TNN and you get like 1 million views over a weekend? How was it? Do you miss those days?
You know, that was it's back then. Everything was heavy. The cameras were heavy. The scheduling was heavy. It was way more complicated. So, you know, I'm kind of enjoying watching these millennials run around with these cameras about the size of an iPhone. So I'd rather sit here and talk to you guys and be packing to go somewhere, to be honest with you.
That's amazing. So, hey, how has outdoor television, besides the gear, how has outdoor television changed, you know, since the early 90s, late 80s?
Well, you know, there's so much of it out there now, and it's kind of changed the way people hunt, just like trail cameras. And we were always very careful not to put expectations on stuff. Everybody wants to kill a big deer, you know, but we never scored them or anything. And we always tried to tell stories. I was always about people because there's a lot of interesting people up there. I told you guys earlier that, you know, one of the best things I remember about making television was coming up there hunting on that Minnesota-Wisconsin border. I did 3 weeks on 3 different seasons. I did a week, and a 3-year stretch trying to kill a deer on public land. And I've never been so humbled in my life. I got nothing but respect for you guys up there. I promise you.
Well, well, thank you. So, you know, out of all the years, I mean, do you have a story or two that stand out more than anything else, and why?
You know, just to keep it geographically sound, because you know I'm not a big ice fisherman. I hadn't found any ice down here, although I love your guys' show. You know, one of the best hunts I had, I was in a place in Cyrene, Wisconsin, which is pretty close to the Minnesota line.
Yeah.
And, you know, we were up there. I was hunting with just me and one videographer because I was always the videographer. So this was a big treat for me. I'm on public land. And I couldn't have found a deer up there with sonar or forward looking radar, but I did line up at a little cafe / bar on a Monday night when the Packers were playing. And never seen a party like that. Poor people with green and gold tuxedos on. That was worth my trip up there. But, you know, the trips are always good, but it's always about those people you meet. And I met one guy up there in a convenience store at 5 o'clock one morning. He looked at me and he said, "Are you Cuz?" I went, "Yes, sir." And he said, "What in the world are you doing up here?" I said, "I'm trying to kill a deer on public land and I'm getting my butt kicked." And he said, "Follow me." And that guy put me on a wonderful spot. And I ended up passing up a couple of deer. They were small and it's a lot of wolves going on and a lot of CWD, and ended up passing the deer up. But it was a very high rated show. And I discovered cheese curds. So that's one of my favorite hunts of all time.
Was your suitcase big enough to bring it home?
Oh, look, I emptied everything I had. I brought my bow and maybe my boots, and everything else was stuffed with cheese curds.
So, guys, if you want to send Cuz a little holiday gift, send it care of Mossy Oak, Mississippi. Bags of cheese curds. Funny. So, you guys have hunted with some big name personalities over the years. I mean, who stands out more than anybody?
You know, we've had the pleasure of videoing a lot of people. Again, we were trying to tell stories, and I wanted to always reach out. And when you say celebrity, I wanted to reach out to people who got, and there wasn't any social media or internet back then, but these high profile people who didn't mind saying, "I'm a hunter. I eat venison," that kind of stuff. You know, one of my favorite ones was Jack Nicklaus, you know, and it's an incredible story. I wish I had time to tell you the whole thing, but bottom line is we had a show on the Golf Channel for a year called Second Season. And I was going to take his son, Gary. I knew Gary was a bow hunter, and I had gotten in touch with him, and he called me 2 days before the hunt and said, "Hey, my dad wants to come." I'm like, okay. So I'm in a blind with Jack Nicklaus, who's got a really old bow. It's a compound, a calf hair tab, and he shoots at a deer at 38 yards and 10 ringed it. And I never saw him practice. He's just one of those people, I'm assuming, that's got that hand-eye coordination. 38 yards, just got off the plane, shot that deer, 10 ringed it, and I'm looking at the video camera. Please tell me I had the record button pushed. At the end, he gave the best interview I've ever had. He never said one word about golf. All he talked about was his kid. He said, "You know, bow hunting's not really my thing. He loves to fish, loves to fly fish and all that." But he said, "I come with him because they want me here." It was the best interview ever.
That's amazing. So back in the days when I was with North American Media Group, we had a golf club, and Steve Burke, the owner of the organization, actually met Jack Nicholson or Jack Nicholson, and he had his calendar set for every 15 minutes. Can you believe that? Every 15 minutes, that was how his calendar was broke down. That was insane.
Yeah, they're busy people, but I tell you, and look, all the celebrities, we did some football players and baseball players. They're just people. They just want to be one of the guys. They want to be bro when they're out there fishing. You know, they just normal people, and we had so much fun. It's been such a blessing to do that.
That's amazing.
That's cool.
So have you ever been ice fishing?
Have you ever gone ice fishing, Cuz?
You know, this is going to floor your audience, being how I'm from Mississippi, but the answer to that is yes. And
really?
we back when Hunting the Country was rolling, we had one of our sponsors was Polaris, and they build a snow machine. We went up there to tour the plant, and they had a little ride for us, you know, and of course they had a suit. I am so lucky they had one to fit me. What are you laughing at, bro? the problem was going to be the helmet because my head is like a beach ball. But I got a helmet and a giant jumpsuit and a big thick pair of gloves. And I was on that snow machine. 10 minutes in, I felt like I was the man. That was the most fun. So we stopped. They had this plan. There was 3 or 4 tents out on. I didn't know we were on ice. I just thought we was riding in the snow. So they said, "Look, you're gonna go in there and ice fish with this guy for a little while." And I said, "Well, that's cool." Well, he opened the tent and he looked at me and he said, "How much do you weigh?" And from that point on, I was a nervous wreck because we're on the ice. Anyway, I took the gloves off and that helmet and all that, and I was doing, he was telling me what to do and all that. And all of a sudden, I realized my hands were absolutely frozen. I couldn't grip. I couldn't ungrip. I was frozen. I don't know how you guys do it. No, I didn't catch a fish. And I wanted one so bad because it's a walleye. And this is coming from a Mississippi born and bred redneck. Walleye is the best eating fish on the planet. I was sure wanting to catch one and I didn't.
That's hilarious. So Mossy Oak has really had a number of patterns over the years. I mean, from bottomland to obsession to just a ton of them. Do you have a personal favorite that you like to wear?
It's funny you say that because it started with bottomland. And if you saw the story of how Toxie came up with that pattern and those colors, he literally went into a fabric guy's office and he had these baggies full of leaves and dirt and limbs. And that's the colors they had to match. And then we immediately moved on to green leaf and tree stand and all that. Well, right now, bottomland's the most prevalent selling pattern we got. But and I love them all, but I guess most of my stuff's probably breakup because I'm bad about, especially turkey hunting, just flopping down almost anywhere because turkeys is all about that movement. If you stay still and, you got your mossy oak on, you're in good shape. But, breakup's hard to beat. I wear bottomland if I'm going to a banquet or something like that. But there's so many good ones and they all got that bottomland background. So I think breakup's probably my favorite.
So in 2017, you guys moved into the fishing patterns with elements. What kind of led you guys to do that? I don't know if you heard me. So when you came out with elements in 2017, what kind of led to moving from hunting into more fishing?
Well, everybody's always trying to grow their market. And it's just like, it's such a natural thing. It's the same people, the people that fish, hunt, the people that hunt, fish, and they're all great people. And the better they get at it, it's like the more they want everybody to know. It was just such a natural thing for people to want to wear a mossy oak fishing pattern during the summer down here. Sometimes it even gets too hot to fish down here. Man, it got up to 70 degrees today, and there were people outside in giant coats and sock hats on. It's crazy. But it was such a natural fit because it's all the same people, and we need to join together and do as much as we can. That's why I love shows like this. You guys aren't scared to give away secrets, and people are like all the time, like, "Man, don't tell them that." And I'm like, I think the more people learn and the better they get, the better conservationists they are, and the more they'll take care of that resource. So educating people is a big deal.
Well said.
Kai, can you show us some of the elements patterns? I'd like to show everybody some of the mossy oak patterns. These are actually the Ice Hunter Series Fish House from Frabill this year. Actually, it's available in mossy oak elements this year, so it's a very cool pattern.
It's really cool,
and it's fun to wear. And Bro's got it on now too, which is really cool. Well, cuz I don't want to take up your whole night. I know you got to head back home, but thank you so much for joining us tonight. It's really
come on up. We'll get you so much walleye that you'll get sick of it.
Oh, look, be careful. Be careful how you phrase that, because if you throw some cheese curds in when they get through,
I can guarantee you land in Minneapolis, we'll head up there and there'll be cheese curds all the way up and walleye all the way back. How's that?
I know a guy in Wisconsin who could hook me up, Mr. Ginter.
God, look, I got you guys cell phones now, so we may have a reunion with me cutting holes in the ice. You just watch.
That'd be awesome.
I'll cut the holes. You don't have to worry about that. You just got to pull the fish up.
I said that's what I'm good at. I love to go when they're biting.
Yes, sounds good. I'll trade you that for a little little crappie action. I hear you got some slabs.
Let me tell you something. Until you've had my fried, I call them white perch down here,
Yeah.
but the crappie's okay. Until you've had my fried white perch and my wife's hush puppies and cheese grits, I'm
Ooh.
telling you, bro, it's unbelievable.
Oh man, my stomach's growling.
All right, we're gonna make that happen.
Cuz, thanks so much. Have a great night. Have a great Christmas, and say hi to everybody down there for us.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Awesome. Legend.
Oh my gosh, what the stories are just hilarious. I mean, it's just, and I love the passion for everything fishing and hunting, which is really fun. So, bro, you did something really unique the other day. You sent me pictures of you catching these giant fish. They were like this long, and they weren't perch. What were you chasing?
I actually went smelt fishing. Heather and I love catching smelt. I mean, all creatures, small and big. You know, we decided, hey, we've got some giant walleyes, we've got some big pike and sturgeon and everything. Let's go for the little guys that never get any credit. So we went fishing for smelt. You catch tullibees, you catch little walleyes once in a while. You catch everything when you're not fishing for them. And we got enough to eat. Call it good, but it's not easy. They're small. They don't pull the rod tip down. You got to watch on the camera, and they're constantly hitting it. And so you kind of lift and you hook them.
Little fish need love too.
Yeah, little fish need love too.
So how do you target smelt? I know it's a big fishery in a lot of states, just not big here. So how did you find them? How do you find them? What are you using? And you know, how many fish are you catching?
Well, what I'm taking is this little forage fry spoon, and then what I'm putting on there is I'm taking the treble hook off and putting a little 2-pound leader and a tiny gamakatsu hook and threading on one maggot. You tear it slightly and you thread it on. If you use a waxy, they just clean it right off. You'll start with waxies to make a mess down there because you're fishing in 40, 50 feet of water, sometimes 60, 70 feet of water. And when they start coming in, you can see them on the graph and you can see them on the camera, and they'll move up as the day progresses. Pretty soon you're fishing them. By the end of the day, you'll be in 20 feet of water and they'll be right under the ice. I mean, you know, in 80 feet of water, and they'll be coming up and looking at the spoon, dropping down and grabbing the bait. And so I'll have I always order some little gamakatsu micro salmon egg style hooks and some of the little tiny fly hooks that they have. And one maggot is just great. And it's fun because you have to constantly check and lift. And Heather and I were like, oh, look at this one. We're trying to catch small ones because big smelt are good for bait, but we're trying to catch the little smelt because they're just perfect. Cut their head off, gut them out, fry them up, and they're delicious.
So are these fish on the bottom? I mean, take me through, how are you finding these fish?
Well, it was pretty easy. I just went over a deep hole, and the lake I'm at was loaded with rainbow smelt. And so right off the steep edge, drill a hole and drop your lure down first because they come in. They're aggressive, mean little fish. So sometimes drop down maybe a big buckshot and with some wax worms and shake it up. And it's like snowing down there. Bring it up and you'll see all these small fish showing up. Then drop down your other bait. And yeah, that's a good idea, Dakota. And that's what I'm using is a 27-inch quick tip. And this rod with the slightest, actually some of the bites are shaking it up. They lift the weight off the bait, but it's really fun. And it takes a while to get a meal. I mean, I think we fished for hours to get just a small pile, and they don't last long when they're on a plate.
No, I wouldn't think so. So it's fun to see everybody bringing in all these tips from across the country. Thank you for everybody for sharing that kind of stuff.
Great idea.
3 hooks, 6 far apart. So how the smelt that you're catching, how long are they? And I mean, you know, when you net them in the spring, and I've done the Lake Superior deal back when the smelt used to run in pretty good numbers. I mean, they would get pretty large.
Yes.
I mean, are you finding them that big?
We're catching the real big ones, and we're kind of sorting them out because you know, the bigger ones are good to throw right down on a line later on the same lake. We don't take them and transfer them anywhere, but on the same lake. And what we really wanted to get are the ones that are like 4 or 5 inches. Those things just crunch up really nice. The big ones still taste good, but the bones get a little bigger. I don't want to be pulling a spine out of my gums. So you want a little crunchy French fry, and man, they're just delicious, and they're available all over the place. I've been to Michigan. They got great smelt fishing over there. They got great smelt fishing in a lot of states. I'm sure they have some in New York because it's deep. They got those, great big Champlain. I think has a lot of smelt in it. There's parts of Rainy Lake have smelt, and Lake of the Woods, but they're too hard to get a bead on them because that main basin, you'll find fish popping them up. It's too big. But I'm fishing small lakes that are really deep, and they're walleye, they're / trout lakes, and there's a lot of smelt that even in the past the DNR stocked. And you want something, I don't want to give up the name of the lake, but
I was gonna ask, but
well, let's just say that it's somewhere around Grand Rapids, but I'm not going to name it.
Yeah. Hey, so last week, you had talked about a grass shiner, and I wanted to make sure that you shared with everybody a photo of a grass shiner. And apparently, you and Kai have been conniving to come up with something. So, Kai, can you bring up that? There it is. So, what is that? What is that?
That is a delicacy to walleyes. They'll mow them down. They live in rivers, riffly streams, like you'd imagine trout would be, where you get red tails and creek chubs, and then you get big head shiners, and these little minnows, they pick up rocks, and they actually clean. John, shh. He's good. He can guess stuff. They pick up rocks and they actually clean out the nests of the red tails, and I don't think they eat the eggs, but they're you don't see very many. And there's some bait shops that actually will kind of sort through their minnows just to get there's a perch here, you got to get that out. You can't have that in there, or bullhead. And some of these guys who really know what they're doing, they're sorting out little piles of them, and the guides fight over them. And we know because they stay on a jig really nice, a long shank jig, and they work really well. And Marty knows. Yeah, these things. Someone says, "Can I have a Goldie?" Sure, I'll take the grassy shiner over here. Thank you. It's not everybody knows about it, but one of those little secrets of the trade, and probably not every guide knows about it. I'm serious. They, in the bait shops, how many people walk by it, and they usually come in river mixes.
Yeah.
When you go to river mix is popular now because we can't get Goldies due to water laws and whatever. So Goldies do exist in our lakes because of many years of being, dumped in the lakes. It's not a grass carp. Good question.
No, it's not a grass carp.
Not a grass carp. And so the river mix that you get has a mix of pearl daces, which they look like a big old, almost like a creek chub, but they're skinnier. Pearl dace, and they're really, really strong swimmers. And those things are good. Anything bigger you want to use on a rig. These are just perfect jigging bait. And in the summer, when it's hard to get good jigging bait, because can you use jig and a minnow all year? Yes. You can catch fish on a jig and minnow year round, 90 degrees, 78-degree water. You can still get them on jig and minnow, but you need a good minnow. And that's our problem is after the spot tails are gone, then you're paying $15 a dozen for red tails, and they're not as good as a grassy shiner. Grassy shiners are firm and just stay alive, even double hooked for a long time. There.
Wow. That's insane. You went into this much deeper than I expected you to, which is pretty good.
CSI Max, Minnesota.
So I really got talking to Cuz, and a number of people mentioned that he's making them hungry. So I don't know. Do you do the cooking at home, or does Heather do the cooking?
Well,
So I'm asking if you have a favorite recipe for walleye or perch or whatever. So how do you cook your fish?
Well, I like cooking the game and fish, and she likes cooking everything else. She's got her mom's talents with spaghettis and all that kind of stuff. For me, give me the fish. For perch, I love making a red perch chowder, spicy hot, and I actually made it on a cooking episode. You can look it up, Bros perch chowder, and it'll pop up. And I make it spicy like a jambalaya with black beans and everything, and Frank's Red Hot. But one of my favorites now, my new favorite, is coconut walleye. So you cut the walleye into fingers, and you can get your batter, and you obviously you go into the flour, then the egg, then the coconut on both sides, and then you put it in your either your Frying Magic or your shore lunch, whatever, Cajun, not Cajun though, just mild stuff. Then cook it in the oil, and make sure not to burn the coconut. The coconut will turn black right away. So turn as soon as it gets crisp on a medium flame, flip it to the other side, and I'm telling you, the stuff's so good I have to count my fingers after I eat it. I mean, and if you really want to kick it up, if you want sweet and then you want something that kicks you really hard, get a little bit of tartar sauce. Make tartar sauce out of dill. So throw in a little jalapeno jelly.
So why would you waste perch in a jambalaya or something? You could just use pike and have perch. I mean, it's too good not. I love perch. I think perch is as good, if not better, than walleye. Who else agrees with me here? I'll find out. We'll find out here. But so I've been mixing. I've been mixing shore lunch 50-50 with cornflake crumbs. The problem is the cornflake crumbs used to be a lot more. They had a lot more body to them, and you got better crunch back in the day. So it's not the same. So I've been using Dots, that the pretzel mix, which is good too. So, but it's
the crunch to it. Well, and I've messed with pretzels. Randy and Shelly Nemitz from Wisconsin showed me their pretzel thing, and I hope you don't mind me mentioning that you have that, but it adds such a crunch. It kind of makes the fish really a new crunch factor to it. But the thing is with the coconut walleye, I want people to understand, is when you eat the fish later, whether you make a sandwich out of it or at breakfast, that sweetness and that coconut, it's good with everything but ice cream.
You're amazing. Oh, hey, so we've covered a lot of ground. We covered a lot of fish that start with S tonight. Eric calls them schmelt, which is very common a lot in this neck of the woods. We had sturgeon with Hunter and Grant, which is awesome. We covered deep water crappie, and having Cuz on board was really cool. Sunday night, we've got another really awesome show coming up. We're going to have Christine Fisher, very well-known personality on the YouTube side of things and social media. Trevor Olson is going to be on board, and we're going to have a deep conversation about tungsten versus lead. I know you've got strong feelings about both, and as do I. So it'll be kind of fun to really go through that kind of stuff. And then we're going to cover a subject that I know you don't like to talk about, which is big bluegills. I mean, it's just,
I love them, and I'm just selfish. I don't want to share them.
Well, at least you can share the techniques that you've been using to target those things.
Absolutely. So, I'd love to.
Yeah. And then we're going to go over tip-ups, the round versus the rail style. But we're going to go a little deeper. How can you make the tip-ups better, more effective for yourself, and that kind of stuff. And then we're going to have our weekly prize, Frabill prize pack again. So, Kai, again, we're going to pick a winner here in just a couple minutes, but show us what's available tonight in terms of winning for the prize pack. Yeah.
Oh, look at that.
$165 worth of Frabill gear, tip-ups, reels, these mammoth College of Ice coolers and stuff like that, which would be really cool. So, hey, guys, on behalf of Bro and everybody with Frabill, thank you so much for joining us tonight. Hope to see everybody on Sunday night. We are going to pick the Frabill prize pack winner from everybody that was participating tonight. And so please hang around with us. Just give us a few minutes so Bro and I can kind of go through things. And we're going to have to pick a winner. Unfortunately, according to the rules, we're going to have to pick someone from the U.S. But to all of those from Canada and other countries that have been joining us. Thank you. Unfortunately, we just can't.
Appreciate the
we can't do
support.
that tonight. Yeah, thank you for the support. So we'll be back in about 2 minutes. So everybody hang around and we'll announce the winner. Well, we've done the tumblers. We've looked at all the stuff, and we want to thank everybody that really got involved tonight. Bro, we have a winner.
Marty Neese, you are the winner from Wisconsin. Congratulations. All right.
Oh. Hey, everybody. Thanks for joining us on College of Ice tonight. It really has been a ton of fun, and we're got another great show coming up. Bro's perch chowder. I got to try that.
Angling
try
bud.
that. So, everybody, so we'll see you Sunday night, 7 p.m. Central, right here. Thanks, guys. Have a great night.
Thanks for watching this week's College of Ice. Stay tuned for all new episodes coming up.